It was supposed to be the start of something different. Just 2 weeks ago, cameras flashed in Alaska. Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin shook hands. Peace was the word floating around. Negotiations, summits, ceasefire, everything was discussed. And yet here we are. 2 weeks later, there is no peace. There is not even a pause. Instead, the war has escalated into one of its deadliest phases. Kiev is reeling under its biggest attack in months.
Били БПЛАшками, вон там видно пожар очень.
Что там? Стил, да? Голову держите, голову дуры!
Civilians buried in the rubble, the European Union's mission building left scarred, and a Ukrainian ship sunk in the river Danube. So what exactly happened? Why did peace talks collapse into fire and smoke? First, let's start with the latest in the Ukrainian capital. It was a night of fire for Kiev. The capital did not sleep. Overnight, Russia unleashed nearly 600 drones and more than 30 missiles, all in one coordinated attack. 23 people were killed, including 4 children. Dozens more were pulled out of burning apartments. At least 48 people were wounded. The strikes damaged buildings in 33 locations across all 10 districts of the city of Kiev. So this was not just another bombardment. It was one of Russia's largest combined aerial strikes since the war began. Ukraine says it downed most of the drones. 563 of the nearly 500 drones fired. But even then, there was widespread damage. And it was not just Ukrainian buildings. Like I said, there were other structures that suffered too, like the European Union delegation's building in Kiev. It was damaged. So was the British Council office. And European leaders have called it a deliberate attack, a calculated insult after weeks of peace diplomacy. Earlier today, Brussels summoned the Russian envoy. So did the UK. It summoned the Russian ambassador to London. The European Union called the attacks a deliberate choice to mock peace efforts.
I'm outraged by the attack on Kyiv, also hitting our EU offices. This was the deadliest drone and missile attack on the capital since July. And as you can see behind me on the screen, it was an attack also on our delegation.
Even the White House could not ignore it. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said President Trump was not too happy about this.
I know what the president thinks because I talked to him about this. He was not happy about this news, but he was also not surprised. These are two countries that have been at war for a very long time. Russia launched this attack on Kyiv.
And the violence was not limited to the skies. Russia used naval drones to sink a Ukrainian ship, the Simferopol. It's a reconnaissance ship. It was launched just a few years ago. This was Ukraine's largest naval vessel in a decade, and now Russian sea drones have taken it down. Ukraine has confirmed the attack. One sailor was killed in this assault. Several others were wounded, and many are also missing. So you may ask, what happened to the peace effort? It looks like the Alaska talks fizzled. The politicians shuffled papers and shook hands, but on the ground, nothing changed. And now the bombs are back. For Ukrainians, the very idea of negotiations feels insulting, like a punchline to a bad joke. In fact, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is already calling for tougher sanctions and more weapons. The EU is preparing to impose more penalties. It wants to push through yet another sanctions package. It will be the 19th package since the war began. Meanwhile, Russian attacks continue to escalate, and ordinary Ukrainians are bracing for more nights in bomb shelters. The prospect of peace lasted barely 2 weeks. The headlines have once again gone from diplomacy to destruction. It's a clear sign that this war is not winding down. It is only intensifying. As Trump's trade war rattles the world, all eyes turn to Tianjin, host of the SCO summit. Prime Minister Modi makes his first visit to China in 7 years. India's policy of multi-alignment faces its biggest test. Will the outreach to China open the door to a new partnership? And will talks with Russia add weight to India's stance against trade wars and tariffs? Catch Vantage live from Tianjin.